Ramsey, Ebenezer, I want to say, can you guys hear us?
Yes, I can see it. Yes, I can see it.
Okay, awesome. You can see it, you can hear us. Great. I appreciate your guys' patience. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, 2026 Agent Playbook. I don't know which camera I'm looking at. This one. No. Okay, guys, appreciate you guys plugging in. So we are right around the corner to the new year. What's today? The 13th. So that gives us 46 days. 46 days to end 2025 off strong and start 2026 off even stronger, right? So goal setting, game planning for top producers. So we're going to talk about what it actually takes and what you need to do to prep yourself for making 2026 a great year in terms of goals, in terms of game planning, in terms of processes, so on and so forth. So if you guys don't remember my training from last time, the slides, take a screenshot, take a picture. I rarely ever use them. I just speak off the top of my head. So if you're not taking notes, you might want to get a pen and paper out or your laptop or phone or what have you. Okay? Oh, I forgot this thing. All right. So yeah, we already discussed that, right? Really, the easiest and simplest way to create goals, honestly, is start from the end and move backwards. And that's pretty much the basis of what we're going to discuss here, right? So define your vision for 2026. Remember, one of the biggest things is that everything in this industry is mental, more than anything, right? So if you don't know why you're here, if you don't know why you're in real estate, if you don't know why you do what you do, that's the biggest thing that you have to figure out. You know, are you in it for money? Are you in it for helping people? Are you in it to give your family a better lifestyle? Are you in it for financial freedom, for flexibility of time, more of a balanced life? That takes a little bit of difficulty, to be honest. But you got to figure out what's actually going to drive you. You know, what is going to move you in 2026? You know, what is going to motivate you to get out of bed each morning, every morning, like clockwork, and follow your routines and follow your processes to close more deals, to gain more clients, to shake more hands, to have more conversations, to earn more income, to increase your GCI. You know, what is going to actually move you to do that? And once you have that idea and understanding of how you want your business and your life to be, that's such a key component, right? You ever heard the saying, out of sight, out of mind? Well, if you don't have insight mentally what you want to accomplish, how can you ever expect to get it? You know, people say seeing is believing. That is so far from the truth. Believing is seeing, right? If you can't believe that you're going to hit a six-figure income in 2026, how could it ever happen? If you don't believe that you can close 20 transactions, how is it ever going to happen? You know, so you have to actually develop and define that for yourself first. So set a three-word theme for yourself. Mine is focus, growth, and freedom. That's my three-word mindset for 2026 is I want to be hyper-focused. I think I've done very, very well to remove out a lot of distractions for myself in 2025, but there's definitely more that can happen in 26. And all I'm looking for is just growth in all regards, whether it be with my businesses, with real estate, with family, personal, health, priorities. I just want growth all around and to really create that level of freedom for myself where I can really pick and choose. You know, why I get started. So we talk about why, and I'll just share mine just for context. I got started in real estate simply for money, straight up. Because with that, I can have many, many, many options of what I'd like to do. Ultimately allows me to control my time more, have more flexibility. If I want to take a 10-day cruise like I am at the end of this month, I can. Because I know that my business is set on autopilot. That's what I want in terms of freedom, right? So identify your non-negotiables as well. You know, what is so important to you that you cannot break? And understand what a non-negotiable is too. It literally means you will not break it. It literally means like this has to happen, period, right? So if your non-negotiables is your family, then make sure that you have that time set across for them, whatever it is. You know, I like, Walid had mentioned that Saturdays for him is straight family time. He doesn't do anything that day, doesn't take appointments, tries to minimize whatever calls that he gets, but that's straight family time for him, right? So what is it, right? Is Is it traveling? Is it your health? Is it fitness? Is it gym? Whatever your non-negotiables are, figure those out. Because once you know what those are, then you can work around it, right? We have 24 hours in a day, whatever, 8 to sleep, 2 between commutes, 2 for personal. Guys, make sure you're on mute, thanks. 2 for personal errands, whatever, so on and so forth. 8, quote unquote, for work, right? You still have about somewhere between 1 to 4 hours of non-productive time a day. That's where your priorities lie. If your priorities are set in place and you know that daily it's 2 hours, okay, great. You got 2 hours that you can use towards your real estate business. If you're a full-time realtor, well, you have more time. But remember, time can be a blessing or a curse. We can take it for granted, right? And next thing you know, the entire day just goes by, right? So we're gonna talk about how to line those up as well. And then align your business goals for personal fulfillment, right? Perfect example, I'm going on a cruise at the end of this month. I said if I close 2 buyer transactions by October, I'm gonna go on this cruise. I closed 3. I'm going on this cruise. Personal fulfillment. I really fully believe that rewards should be attached to work, right? Because it just spurs you that much more to want to continue to move forward. So everyone's heard of SMART goals, right? I'd like to give you something else, smarter goals, right? So specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound is SMART. Evaluated and rewarded is smarter, okay? So why this thing is, let's move that up there we go. So in terms of smarter goals, right? You wanna figure out what your annual targets are for the year by breaking it down to quarterly, to monthly, to weekly, and of course, to daily, right? Converting income goals into transactions, track leading indicators. What's actually moving you, moving that ticket? What's moving that needle across to get you over to transactions? Is it cold calling? Is it social media? Is that what's producing business for you? Is it working with marketing companies? Is it door knocking? Is it networking? Where are you getting the most business from? That's where you want to focus, right? Everybody's heard of the 80-20 rule, right? Okay. 80-20 rule pretty much runs in everything. 20% of the outfits that you have in your closet, you wear 80% of the time. Think about it. Right? Okay. When you go to the gym, you do a set of 10, it's the 20%, rep 9 and rep 10 that actually gives you 80% of the results, right? So it runs on everything. So you got to figure out where that is. A lot of people talk about, focusing on strengths or focusing on weakness. My personal opinion, you focus 80% on your strengths and you focus 20% on your weaknesses, because your strengths can always grow. And it's already a good, right? It's already in a green zone, right? If you will, whereas your weaknesses are somewhat in a red zone. Why would you focus 80% of your work and time in a red zone to try to get it to green when you already got certain strengths in green, right? So that's kind of what I mean in terms of tracking leading indicators. Schedule monthly progress reviews with yourself, right? Personally, what I do is I got a wall calendar. I have all of my appointments that are there. I set up what appointments that I have, what appointments I've scheduled. So let's say, for example, yesterday I scheduled a listing appointment for Friday. Well, I notated that I scheduled a listing appointment yesterday on my calendar. I'm tracking these numbers. I'm tracking these indicators because I want to see when I review at the end of the month on November 30th, when I review the month, I want to see where was I missing? Where did I lack? Where was I not focused? Why wasn't I focused? Okay, so let's see, November 3rd to November 8th, I had no appointments scheduled. I didn't schedule any appointments. I didn't have appointments scheduled that day, for example. I did, just for example. But I didn't have anything scheduled that day. What was the reason? I had a family dinner. I had to help a friend move. We had people coming in town. Whatever. You got to figure out what was those things, right? So those reviews are super, super important to help you to backtrack and look back in that previous month as to why the success happened the way it did, so you can do more of it, and why your failures happened so that you can learn from it, okay? And then reward yourself. Like I said, I think that's extremely important. So going into smarter goals, right? Reverse engineering numbers, as I mentioned. Determine exactly what it is that you want to make. See, there's point A, there's point B, the starting line, the destination, and then there's in between, right? Point A is where you are now, point B is where you want to be. What's the in between, right? That's what matters. So when you look at that, when you determine how much you want to make, for example. We're talking about on a financial standpoint, on a work standpoint. Now you can move backwards and think, okay, well, if I want to make X amount, then I need to have X amount of closed transactions, which means I need to have X amount of clients, which means I need to have X amount of appointments, which means I need to have X amount of people that I'm speaking to, right? So let's do one. Who wants to be a volunteer and tell me what they want to make in 2026? All right, bet. What do you want to do? What do you want your GCI to be in 2026?
250.
250,000. Okay, great. Let's. I'm just gonna do the calculator from my phone, make it easier. All right, 250,000 GCI. Okay, which means if it were at 10 what?
10 people to call every day.
Oh, you guys are going
No.
7 steps back. We gotta even before that, you gotta figure out how many transactions you have to close, right? So 250,000 would mean that that's an average of 2% commission on your transactions, which means you would need how much in overall sales? 25 million?
Oh, 25 million, no.
Yeah. How many in total sales would you need to get, if your average commission is 2%, how much in overall sales would you need in 2026?
40, I believe 14 to 16 million.
That's crazy.
Because for the 130 or 150,000, if we make like maybe 10, between 10 and 12, so it is about 113, 150. So that you just double that. So it's going to be like 250 for probably, yeah, that's what it is.
Absolutely not.
No?
No. If you have 40 to 60 million in sales, you better have a brokerage and a team. Now you're doing really good.
No, 16 million in a year.
60 or 16?
16.
Oh, I thought you said 60. I was like, man, you're making 60. You're making about 1.5 million. It's 10. 10 million.
10 million?
Yeah. So I always base it.
Because 4 million pays you 100,000 on average.
So the average, okay. So I go based on my commission.
So
Yep.
4 and 2.
So I base it off of 2% commission.
2% commission.
Right? Here's why. Yes, we can make 2.5. We can make 3. I have properties under contract right now at 4.5% for myself. We'll talk about that later. But you can do a lot, right? I do 2% as a goal setting because I would rather have a lower end number and a higher goal to reach because I'm gonna make it anyways if my average commission is 2.5%. You know what I mean? Also, we have to take into account other expenses. See, just because you want to make 250 GCI, that's great, right? But before we even get to the whole things of you make 250, but how much are you actually keeping? Let's talk about, well, you make 250, how much are you spending on your business? Not in life, on your business, right? So you have your monthly dues, you have your annual dues, you have Bright to pay for, Central Lock, you have MBAR, you have marketing costs, lead gen, whatever, all these different expenses too, right? That's why I always suggest doing it at 2%, because if you end up averaging 2.75 on all of your transactions, congratulations, you just made an extra 100 grand. But that probably was gonna go towards your running expenses anyways, right? So 10 million in sales, okay? Now, what I would suggest here is, what is your average ticket price? And multiply that by 1.5. That's typically the sales price that you're looking at, right? So if your average transaction, let's say that, I showed you had a couple $1 million sales, but you had some lower $200,000 condos. Let's say your average ticket price is 400,000. Okay, great. Multiply it by 1.5. Your average sale property is probably around 600,000. Is that typically the range that you focus in? There you go. Numbers don't lie, right? So now you got to figure out, like, okay, if your average sale price is 600,000, what's that divided by 10 million? 10 million divided by 600,000. If anybody on Zoom knows the answer, feel free to say. I don't know if somebody messaged. I'm not checking.
10 million times what?
10 million divided by 600,000.
600,000?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that is
10 million in overall sales, 600,000 average price. 16 point something.
Yeah, 16 point something.
So you're looking at 17 transactions, right? Typically. So let's round it up and say 20. Just give it an easy number, right? So you know that if you want to make 250,000, your overall sales needs to be 10 mil. You're looking at 20 transactions within the next year. Okay, great. 20 transactions. So 80-20 rule once again. What does that mean to me? That means if that's your 20%, the additional 80% would be 80. You're looking at 100 appointments in 2026. 100 appointments for buyers, sellers, whichever. 100 appointments have to happen in 2026. Why 100? Well, because if you're decently under average, let's say, if you run 100 appointments in a year, I would like to think that you would get
15% closing.
well, no, it should be 20 because she's looking at 20. 20. It should be 1 to 5. But the thing is, that's close. 20% close rate, yes. But client ratio should be higher. Client ratio should probably be maybe 40-45%. But let's remember, we have buyers who will get pre-approved that they don't end up buying. Something happens. We have sellers that will list, and for one reason or another, the home doesn't end up selling, right? So we have to take these things into consideration. Just because you run 100 appointments and you get 20 clients, buyers and sellers, does not mean you're going to have 20 closed transactions, right? So 100 is a safe number where even if you get 40 to 50 that you develop clients through, right? 20 for sure can happen, right? Now, 100 meetings, okay? Well, how many people does it take to do that? That is the question of the century. I don't have a number for you. I would say if your goal is 100 meetings in 2026, listing appointments, buyers appointments, the answer to how many people it takes is whatever it takes. If you know that that's the number to get you 250 GCI, perfect. Start talking, start sending emails, meet people, so on and so forth. Whatever number that takes to get you to that amount. So you see, that essentially is reverse engineering. That's calculating your average commission deal. That's identifying how many deals you need to close, estimate conversion rates for calls, right? When you do your monthly reviews, you will figure that out as well. I do track my calls. Like, so for me, my business stems a lot from cold calling, from referrals, and first-time home buyers. So I'm tracking these numbers. If I'm making calls per day, I'm tracking how many I have. How? CRM. Easiest, simplest way. I don't need to track it. It's all in there, right? How many numbers I have. So if I'm tracking that I'm doing, let's say on a weekly basis, if I've made 250 calls in a week, and out of those 250 calls, I've had, let's say, 25 conversations. Now those 25 conversations, I had one scheduled meeting. Okay, now I gotta look to see, all right, 250 calls, 25 conversations. So that means 225 people did not answer, okay? Maybe, keep calling, try a different method, text, email, whatever. But that big batch is a number that I can utilize to be able to try to get an appointment scheduled, right? Or let's also look into the 25. Well, all right, why didn't those 25 conversations in that week, why was it only one appointment that it led to? Was my talk tracks off? Do I need to improve my skills in what I'm saying and how I'm speaking to people and how I'm connecting with people and how I'm scheduling? These are things that you can look into, right? So that's why those daily metrics are super, super important. All right. Morning routines or routines in general, vitally important, right? In this industry, finding a balance is extremely difficult. And quite frankly, in my opinion, finding a balance is also borderline removing yourself from this industry. I look at it as like an EKG, right? An EKG for your heart monitor. How does it go? Up, down, right? If it goes as a straight line, it's not a good thing, right? Balance, imbalance. So growth is going to have issues, right? Growth is going to require uncomfortability. Growth is going to require for you to get out of your comfort zone. So there will be imbalances. But if you have a pretty set in routine, a good quality routine set in, then you're lining yourself up for success. Now, you figure out what works best for you, right? Maybe it's waking up at 6 a.m. and it's going to the gym, doing what all these successful real estate professionals talk about and this and that. They go to the gym at 5 a.m. and they meditate for 20 minutes and they have a wholesome hearty breakfast, and then they're at their computer by 7 o'clock, they're checking emails, they're starting their follow-up calls at 8 o'clock, they're running their appointment, whatever. Okay, I can't do that. I can't get up at 5 o'clock. I'm not doing that. Sorry, it's just not happening. My routine works for me, but you always got to kind of fine tune it. I get up in the morning and I need to have a bit of things organized, from my emails to calls to texts to messages to social. So things that come in overnight, I need to get those taken care of and declutter my mind. Then I get to my calls and my follow-up calls, right? I go to the gym mid-morning, maybe around like 10:30 to 11:30. I just feel like that is a point where I've really woken up and I'm now a little bit more energized, so I can get certain things done. I can get a workout in, come back, shower, eat, get ready, run through my appointments throughout the day, more follow-up calls towards the evening when typically people are getting off of work. And in between, I'm fitting in whatever other things that I have. Listing appointments, buyer appointments, trainings, networking events, whatever other things that I would do for my business, as well as for personal, because I'm a full-time realtor, right? So, date nights with my wife, spending time with family, hanging out with friends, all those are fit in between. So the thing that most people don't talk about is you're not going to have the same routine from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. It's not humanly possible. Because one, we don't work a 9 to 5 where you get up at 7, you take a shower, you leave for work at 8, you get to work by 9, and then you're doing whatever administrative tasks until 5 p.m. when you leave and you go through traffic and you do your errands and personal stuff. We don't have that. We have our work, we have our marketing, we have our family, we have our friends, we have our loved ones, we have our personal interests and hobbies. All of these things get intermixed in, right? But this is where I talk about with non-negotiables being so important. Figure out what those things are. What are those top 3 daily priorities, right? Figure out what those items are. Make sure that they are set into your daily routine and don't change. For me, my gym times gotta be late morning on the days that I go. For me, there are certain calls I have to make right in the morning, 8, 9 o'clock. There are certain calls that have to be made in the evening. For me, this is my priorities. Why? Because I know certain people are only going to answer in the morning. I know certain people are only going to answer in the evening, right? These things are set in and they don't change. Everything else, I can revolve around that, right? Okay. This thing's always in the way. Time block like a CEO, all right? So kind of already led into this. Schedule your week around income producing activities, right? Most of what we want to do is we don't want to be running around chasing after people and doing a whole bunch of things to build up our business. We want to focus on things that are actually going to produce income. So just how you prioritize the non-negotiables in your life, right? Family, friends, whatever it is, you got to prioritize those non-negotiables in your business as well. Think of it like layering. Anybody remember the example of, this is a good example, I just thought of it. Anybody think of the example of the multiple rocks in a jar? The large, medium, smaller, right? How do you fit it in, right? You have to figure that out first, right? You have to figure out what's the biggest, most important thing. So bigger rocks go in first. That's your life priorities, right? Then what are your work priorities? The medium rocks go in. Then the smaller rocks can all trickle through and fit into place where it needs to fit into place, right? But make sure you have that in. You're separating your creation time as well, marketing, content, showings, calls, all that good stuff. And then guard your personal time. See, time is literally the only commodity that you cannot get back, right? We waste a third of it sleeping, but then we also need that sleep to live. So talk about a catch-22. But we allow for it to just kind of slip away at its own pace, and we can't do that, you know? Review your calendars every Sunday evening. That's always a great measure, right? If people talk about Sunday scaries, I don't have Sunday scaries. I'm excited for Sunday because it gives me a solid start going on to the week. Then again, I always talk about how I don't have a Saturday or Sunday anyways. I just have 7 Mondays. 7 Mondays to eventually get to 6 Saturdays and a Sunday. That's the goal, right? But set yourself up that Sunday evening for it. I do color coded blocks. It helps. I know which things, that way when I'm looking at my calendar, I know what's personal. I know what's with my wife. I know what's with my family. I know what's with my social networking groups and events. I know what's, work and business, right? Video done? Over?
No, it had to be reset. Went back to 30 minutes.
Oh, good. Okay, master your lead generation game plan, right? So figure out, if we're talking about 100 appointments, right? Figure out what is going to produce the most business for you. Think about this last year to be able to do that. Think about in 2025, where was your time and your money invested in the best areas? Was it into lead generation sources? Was it into doing events, within communities and pitching up tents and tables and networking, meeting people that way? Was it at your religious communion? Was it through just meeting people out and about, shaking hands? Was it through social media? Wherever it was, that's your bread and butter. The second one is a secondary to add in, as is the third. Always focus on 2 to 3. Because you got to remember, anybody remember, you remember the time when, I think it was, what was it, just a year ago, 2 years ago, TikTok was going to get banned, right? What was going to happen to all the agents if TikTok's gone? I don't know. But I mean, there are agents who get a good amount of business from social media. And I mean, if that was gone, well, what are they going to do? Go back to sending mailers and creating newsletters like, older agents always talk about? I don't know. But that's why it's important to have 2 to 3 categories, because, you never know. Things shift in the market crazily. I mean, we just went into this random, undefined market just like that. It was like the blink of an eye, where you're seeing properties sitting longer, you're seeing price drops happening, but values of houses are dropping even faster than the price drop happens. It's crazy. So you want to be able to have those 2 to 3, because if your main fails out, now you got to shift gears to the second or the third. You got to shift your focus as to where to invest your time and energy and money most properly, right? Set specific weekly activity goals. We talked about that, reverse engineering, right? Creating follow-up systems and automation where possible. This is so widely important because I don't know about you. I hate losing money. I don't like it. I don't like that somebody else just took my $10,000 check. And they probably didn't even know. That makes it even worse to me. What do I mean by that? Well, we've all probably been there where we lost a buyer or seller to somebody else. Seller decided to list with somebody else, or buyer decided to work with someone else, with another agent, their cousin or their aunt or their mailman. I don't know, man. Everybody has excuses and reasons for whatever. We've all had that happen. Wouldn't it suck if you knew somebody who was selling in 2026 and you just forgot to reach out to him because life happens, because you're talking to so many people, because you're just moving and you just forgot? This is why a CRM is so important. Quite frankly, that could have also, I'm saying this from personal experience, but even real, relevant personal experience, that could have actually just happened to me. The listing appointment that I have for tomorrow, when I called the guy yesterday, I forgot all about him. I hadn't spoke to him in 2 years. Come to find out, he tried selling earlier this year and it didn't work for a multitude of reasons. Just wasn't, that agent didn't give him a good plan. But we're meeting tomorrow. We'll get the listing agreement signed and we'll go forward. But hey, I could have just lost $10,000 just like that. It happens all the time. So make sure that you have these systems set up. And another thing with just CRMs, it's not just notifying you as to when to call this person based on, what game plan or action plan you create, but you can also have certain systems that have automated emails going out, so it's giving that touch point, automated text messages that's going out, so it's giving a touch point. Some even do mailers and newsletters and things too. See, the thing is, you don't need to physically be speaking to these people every week or every month to remind them that you're a realtor. But something has to remind them that you're a realtor. Because if something doesn't remind them that you're a realtor, guess what? Dude that meets them in a grocery store or at church is going to remind them that he's a realtor. And you're going to lose that business, right? Track your pipeline as well. Know the difference. This is huge. Know the difference between who is a viable, serious client and who is an energy vampire and a time suck. Once again, happens to all of us, but you have to figure that out, right? This is one of those, I talk a lot about there's an art behind everything and a science behind everything. This is the art. This is where you really just have to use your own intuition and feelings and guts to know, am I even wasting my time by calling this person every week? Maybe I should shift them to calling them every month, or this person I'm calling every month, maybe I should just put them on passive nurture and just let the automation run its course, because that's time. We talk about, a call may take 2 minutes from dialing to leaving a voice message. Okay, multiply that by 50, and for how many days a week and how many weeks in a month, right? It adds up. Your time is valuable. It adds up. So you want to make sure that you're investing in the right areas. Develop and grow your skills through practice and education. Trainings. We have trainings here, right? Show up, get on Zoom. Don't just listen to the recording. It's not the same. I promise you. It's a bigger difference. But train yourself in other areas too. Podcasts, YouTube videos, other webinars, other Zooms that happen, conferences, coaching, other agents, have little powwows, coffee dates, figure out what's working for certain people. Try to learn and grow and develop, right? Okay. Optimize your systems and processes. Just talking about this, right? You need to have multiple touch points with a client, with a lead, just to be able to not lose them, right? And it's really just taking a lot of your mental space away to know I'm reaching out to this person without having to reach out to this person. Now there's AI tools. That can even do your calling and texting for you too, if you want to invest into those. And they work. They work really well. So figure out what works best to be able to refine your processes and really optimize your workflow when working with people. An onboarding checklist is always a good idea too. To know like, okay, once you've met this person, once this person has, expressed interest in wanting to buy or wanting to sell, well, what do I do next? So you're not missing out. I see so many times, agents miss out on so many different fine details. From their listings to when they're working with buyers and so on and so forth. Like, you want to make a process for a client one that is simple, smooth, effortless. You want to do it where it makes them feel good and where they remember you. Make sure that you have your processes lined up. If you need a checklist to do that, that could potentially help. Okay. All right, building your personal brand like a top producer, right? So we are in a digital age. Your resume is not on a piece of paper anymore. Your resume is online. It's on Zillow's profile. It's on Realtors. It's on Instagram. It's on Facebook. It's on your website. It's on landing pages. It's on Google. It's on all these different things. Really leverage all these different sources to be able to build a brand for yourself online. Because the thing is, when you meet somebody new, 9 times out of 10, what they're going to do is they're going to look you up. They're going to search you online. They're going to try to search you on Facebook or on Instagram. They're going to try to check out what you've done, what success you've had, what all these different things. If you don't have it, well, there's 10 other agents that they can look through. Like, we're in a very saturated area, right? With 14,000 agents just working within Northern Virginia, yeah, there's a lot of options for a buyer or a seller, right? Especially if it's somebody that you've met just recently and you don't have any type of connection with them, you don't have any type of trust with them, they don't know you yet, right? So make sure you're building these out. And it doesn't have to be complicated at all. You encourage your past clients to do reviews, testimonials, take those recordings, take those reviews, put those up, repost. Ben is actually a master at this. He constantly reposts content on his Instagram story and on his pages and this and that. Here's the thing. The people who are watching and viewing, they don't know. They don't need to know. It doesn't make a difference anyways. It's the fact that he did business and he's in the trenches and he's selling. If he were to take a post of a property that he sold 3 years ago and put it up on his story, nobody would know the difference. He doesn't do that. But I'm saying if he were to, nobody would know the difference, because if I were to, I'd do the same thing. Nobody would know the difference because they just know that you're engaged, Are you sharing these things? When you're doing showings, are you recording that? And are you putting those up? Are you sharing that? Are you sharing that as well onto your Instagram story? Are people seeing it? Are they seeing it live? Is it information that is impactful? Is it value driven? Is it viable? Is it giving them reason to want to work with you, right? Okay, track progress and adjust quarterly. Monitor your KPIs. We kind of talked about this already, right? Your numbers. You want to monitor your numbers. It's numbers from people that you're speaking to, from people that you're calling, from leads that you have in your database, from leads that you have coming in. You want to monitor the money that you're investing into different areas for lead gen, your marketing dollars. You want to monitor the appointments to client ratio, the client to transaction ratio or list ratio rather, and then that to close. You want to look at all of these numbers and KPIs to make sure that you're working in the right area and what's working for you and what's actually wasting your time. And pivot when you need to. If something's not working, make a change. Don't beat a dead horse, as the saying goes, right? When I'm working with a company, with a branding company, a marketing company, a lead gen, something, I give it 90 days personally. I need to have a bit of a case study to see if there's viability. And if this source is working, if this method of generating business is working. And to be quite frank, half the time, after like the first week, I'm just like, yeah, I don't know if I want to continue with this. A week's not enough. You have to stay steady with it, right? People think they're going to get into real estate in the first year, they're going to make 100,000. Yeah, maybe. It's not impossible. It just depends on what you got when you're coming in. But if you're coming into real estate and you got nothing, yeah, it might not happen in that first year, but you have to stay steady with your work and with your progression, right? I remember just a couple months ago, we were having a conversation outside when he had his food truck here, and he was a little stressed because he was talking, he was having conversations, he was handing cards, but like it was mostly just rentals. Nothing was kind of coming to fruition. Boom, we're in mid-November. He's got 4 buyers under contract. Awesome. One of them at a $1.2 million house. So it's consistency, right? It's consistency, and it is the compound effect, right? You're not going to become Arnold Schwarzenegger after a month. It's going to take a while. But if you're steady and consistent with it, yeah, you'll get there. Okay. And building accountability and stay in momentum, right? So everybody needs somebody. We all need help. We all need assistance every now and then. And when we get discouraged, that's oftentimes when we need other people, right? So holding yourself accountable is good. Having somebody there to help is good too. It's kind of like an individualized pact. We're all individual agents, sure. But if we have somebody there who can, kind of have our back, check in from time to time, who we can check in with, we can stay accountable to, I mean, that's, in my opinion, that's a match made in heaven, right? Because we all want each other to grow, I know some people have coaches, right? I'm a coach, I used to coach. So we are accountability partners to the agents that we're coaching, right? But it helps. It helps a lot. It basically lets you know that you're not in it alone, because this can be a very lonely industry, right? We do a really good job here at Galaxy where we have that camaraderie. We have that family environment and atmosphere. And all that is great. But for the most part, a lot of people, you only see us once a month during the meeting, if you come. And then there's certain people that we haven't seen in years. Maybe they're still here. I don't know. Waleed. But at times it can get lonely, right? Because you're just grinding and grinding and grinding and grinding and nothing's happening. And, sometimes you just need those people that are there to kind of give you a vantage point, maybe assist, or maybe just be a listening ear, right? Share your goals with people too. That helps increase that commitment. Aisha was brave enough to share her GCI goal. She put it out there. December 31st of 2026, I'm going to ask her where she's at. And she's going to tell me, Nabil, I didn't hit 250,000. I hit 320. Yeah, but I mean, there's power in that. There's power in the spoken word. So when you're putting it out there, when you're putting your goals out there and what you want, your commitments out there, it strengthens it too. Plus we have egos, so it's like, if I were to say, my goal is to, be 185 pounds next year with 10% body fat or less than 10% body fat. I'm at 164 right now. I'm putting it out there. So next year, if people don't see me like that, I'm gonna feel embarrassed. It's your word, right? It's what you hold to. So Joining a coaching and mentorship program for support can help as well. We have that in Galaxy. There are other ones out there too, that people can use and subscribe to. Review your goals weekly, wins, lessons, adjustments, figure that out. Stay growth focused, invest learning in events and mindset. So always be on that learning phase, always be growing. I think not just in our industry, but in life, I think if we operate each day with a sense of newness, with a sense of childlike faith, with this mentality that I know nothing, we're constantly in this flux of learning, of growing, of developing. We're putting egos and prides to the side, then we're educating and we're learning, and it's helping us to really not only increase your mental state and your knowledge state, but for what you can put out to other people as well, which comes into fruition in terms of transactions and success and growth and GCI and so on and so forth. So that's kind of how I operate. Is I always want to make sure that every day I'm just a little bit better, just a little bit better. Not even 1%. It could be 0.01. It doesn't matter. Just a little bit better every day. And that comes with learning and growing too. And I think that is the end of our slide. Thank you guys.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Anybody have any specific questions? I don't know what you would ask, but Zoom peoples, anybody have any questions?
I think that's what we needed.
I just wanted to add something. I don't know if everybody's there or not, but especially the accountability part, it really, really helps.
Why?
Why? Because you are accountable to answer to the other person how your plans are and how it's going. And sometimes you need that to see from another person's perspective who's your accountability partner.
Absolutely. And that's why.
And what we can do to change it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Nabil, it was a great class. I was looking forward to, work on the business plan for next year. I think you just put me 2-3 steps ahead of my goals. Thank you for this wonderful presentation.
Absolutely. You're welcome, guys.
Thank you, Nabil. We appreciate it.
And guess what I'm using? Treelu, organizing all of that stuff, whatever you said.
What is it?
Treelu, there's this app.
Treelu?
Treelu.
Okay.
I've been using this app off and on, but now I'm just using it all over
Questions,
again.
everybody's still.
So I create a board. So I created and I just put in everything for my 2026, the photo.
Nice.
It's wonderful.
Should I just press off?
I don't know how that thing works. I don't want to break it. But guys, if there's no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and end the Zoom.
Oh, I appreciate it. It was a great class. You're a Swiss knife, man. Even if there's no reason, said you could be a great motivational speaker, my friend.
I'm a Pakistani knife. Thank you, Joyce. I appreciate it. It's funny that you say that. Prior to COVID, I actually did public speaking engagements and sales coachings and trainings. Northrop Grumman, Hewlett Packard, Apple. I've spoken, presented in front of all these people. It was fun. I don't want to do it anymore. A bunch of bigwigs and they
Corporate life.
no, they look at you. No, I mean it was something I would do in terms of like more on like a hired basis consultant side. But you're talking to like a bunch of execs who all make significantly more money than I do. But they look at you like, what is this kid telling me about in terms of sales and progression and growth? And I'm like, yeah, my daddy also didn't give me my job, so you got your privileged handout. Not everybody, but some people. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and end the Zoom, guys. Take care. Go make some money.
Thank you.